Okay, so we are going to talk today about the beneficial ownership reporting, the BOI reporting that all businesses have to do as of January 1st, 2024.
Right.
And we've had a lot of questions about this from our clients, from everybody actually on social media on what that is, who has to do it, why they have to do it. So that's what we're going to talk about today. Hopefully answer all those questions as best as we can. So it is an ever-changing thing. So all the rules have been set. They are, I think, reviewing those again at the end of this month. So we'll let you know if any new updates come out. But as of right now, this is the federal law. So we'll talk about what's, as of right now, what everyone has to do. So the reason, according to the federal government, the reason that we all have to do the BOI reporting now is they are looking to catch people. They're saying that the states don't collect enough information when people are setting up their businesses. So when you're setting up your LLC, your corporation, the states don't acquire all the information from business owners. And so it leads to people being able to falsely open a business that maybe not be a business and then launder money, finance terrorism, those kinds of things. So it's supposed to help with national security as well as your personal security so that your information could not be stolen. So that's the basis for it, is why they came up with this. So the Finance Crimes Enforcement Network, which is called FinCEN, if you go on their website, FinCEN. Yeah, we could put that even in the comments.
Right.
But only FinCEN is able to, they are the ones that came up with the parameters. So Congress gave the Corporate Transparency Act is what this is. So they gave the CTA the ability. The Finance Crimes Enforcement Network, FinCEN, is the one that created the laws, or the one that's going to enforce the laws. And so they set up the parameters for the laws. And so all reports, all BOI reports are filed through FinCEN. Like I said, they wrote the rules and they decide who, what, when, and who, what, when. Yes. And so only FinCEN has access to so people are concerned about their security, how their information is secured. I mean, they have the highest security possible, but you know, it's as secure as they can make it. And so that is a big concern for people, rightfully so. And so the only people that are going to have access to it is FinCEN. And then they will also give access to like banks, any financial institution, government agencies, but people like the banks can't just access your information without your permission. So like if you're applying for a loan or something, it's not like anybody can get your information, only if you allow it. And so we're going to talk about who has to file. And so if I keep looking down, it's because I'm looking at my notes. We went through a webinar, and so this is like the latest information that we've learned on this webinar.
Right.
And so every company has to file. So there are exemptions. And so, but so the only exemptions are if you are a large operating company, if you have more, which means a large operating company means you have more than $5 million in gross receipts, more than 20 full-time employees, and you have a physical office in the United States. You have to meet all three.
Right.
So that's you can be exempt if you do that. So 5 million in sales, more than 20 employees, in a physical office. Then you can exempt yourself from the filing. Also, if you are in a government agency, a bank, a credit union, there's many different exemptions, but they're usually for like CPA firms. They're exempted only because they already have oversight. on in this anyway. So they already have to, you know, report to FinCEN anyway. So that's why they're exempt from doing the BOI information, right?
Tax exempt entities.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you have questions, there are quite a few exemptions. But you know, we can provide a list of what those are. But generally speaking, it's going to be the people that are already tax exempt, like nonprofits or religious organizations, or people that already have to report, you know, those things. But anyone else, or a sole proprietor, because you didn't have to register with the Secretary of State to get your business up and running. So if you had to register with the Secretary of State, which is just about all of us, for an LLC or a partnership or an S Corp, then you have to file this.
Right. So if you are a sole proprietor that you're just using your social security number and you didn't have to file anything, you just started your business, you do not have to file this. And so when you go to FinCEN's website, they are going to require certain information. It's going to be your full legal name, any trade names that you might have purchased, like DBAs, or, you know, if you purchase any, you know, I don't know, a lot of people have different DBAs. We have different DBAs, but you have to report all of that information, your address, your IRS, your EIN number, your date of birth, so for the company, you're gonna do your address, your name, and your EIN. And then you also, every beneficial owner has to report. And so they would be doing their full legal name, their date of birth, their address, their social security number. You have to have a ID, a photo ID that you also upload in there. So that could be a passport, a state ID, or a driver's license. You also have to do all of that information. Yes. And then when I mentioned a beneficial owner, if you are a beneficial owner, that means that you own or control at least 25% interest of a reporting company. So for example, Katie and I own Evermore Financial Services, 50-50. We both have to be registered as a beneficial owner. Now, if you could have, let's say you have an LLC with 5 owners and each have 20% interest. It's not the 25, but they also have to register because they exercise a substantial control over the company. So not only if you own 25% of the company, but you would also have to register if you are if you have control over the company's finances, like somebody like a president, a CFO, a CEO, a COO, any of those people that are authorized to appoint or remove officers that directs, determines, or influence important decisions in the company. Like they can buy, sell, enter into like a mortgage, or enter into any major expenditures on behalf of the company. They are considered a beneficial owner and also have to register with the company. Right.
Yeah, anything related to governing documents for the company, if you're part of the decision to merge or sell a company, anything like that.
Yes,
is the substantial.
Right. You are considered a beneficial owner of the company. Right, exactly. Right. And then so just to recap, the business has to register, and then all beneficial owners have to register. Right. And you have to do, if you formed your company before January of 2024, so last year or prior, you have until January 1st of 2025 to register. If you started your company this year, in 2024, you have to, I believe you have 30, is it 30 days? 90 days. You have 90 days to register from the start, from whenever you filed for your LLC or your S Corp, whenever you filed that document with the state, you have 90 days from that day. And then starting in 2025, it goes to 30 days. Right. Yep.
Yep. So I think There are a couple of, before we move on, good things to note with what Karrie was saying. And one of them is, so we've talked about who the beneficial owner is. We should probably say who it's not. A creditor is not one of the beneficial owners. Kids are not one of the beneficial owners. Any minor is not, because they have a parent or a guardian. Any agents or custodians of the business, anyone that will inherit in the future, and employees, they're not beneficial owners.
Right. So if you have a minor child that has ownership in a company, the parent or legal guardian would be the beneficial owner in that instance, and not the child.
Right, exactly.
And then we also have company applicants that also have to register. And if your company was formed on or after January 1st of 2024, you, it's called a company applicant. If it was before that, you don't have to worry about it, but the company applicant is the person that directly submits the document for the creating company. So whoever the company gave direct control over filing the document for the company. So let's say you have an attorney that filed for your information, like for your company, for your LLC, for your S corp, or whatever it was. They would be the company applicant, and then they would also have to register. So the company applicant can be one person, or it could be two people, but it would never be more than two people. So it would be you, or it would be somebody that you hired to do it for you, or it could be both of you. So that's what a company applicant is, but that doesn't apply, as I said, unless it was this year. Right.
Right. And just as a recap, so that you have it in your brain, because we're already to May 22nd, which seems really hard to believe, almost to June. And the rest of the year, summer flies by, the fall, and then it's the holidays. So you have to submit your beneficial owner information report before January 1st, 2025. It has to be done by January 1st. If you were created before January 1st of 2024. If you created your company in 2024, you still have 90 days, which is a nice long time, after receiving the notice that your company has been created. So like I said, it all goes back to the Secretary of State paperwork, which they don't normally take that long to get your paperwork back to you. They normally only take 24 hours to 48 hours of processing time. So if you are a new company, you just submitted that, be on the lookout, because your 90 days starts when they receive the notice of creation. And then beyond 2025, January 1st, 2025 and beyond, you have 30 days.
Right.
If you're thinking about starting a new company, just keep that in mind. This will be an easy one.
Right.
Unless you have it on your to-do to forget, and there will be penalties for not, because it's a law. I mean, Congress passed the law specifically as part of their corporate transparency act. And so there will be penalties for not.
Right. And if you were initially exempt because of the large organization exemption, you had 5 million in sales, 20 full-time employees, and a physical location. Let's say you had to lay people off and you dropped down to 15, or you hired people and you would drop down. Like if you didn't, if you had to lay people off and you maybe only had 15 employees, you would then have to register from the day that you dropped. So it's an ongoing fluid thing, so that you always have to keep updated. If you have change in anything of your information, like if you move, your change of address, if your beneficial owners change, if, like I said, you change from an exemption to now being have to file, you have so many days, you have 30 days to do that after the update. So you have to do the update, or you have to file to do the BOI reporting if you're no longer exempt.
Right. And vice versa. If you are growing and you reach the point where you have those 5 million in sales, you have already your location in the United States and you have 20 employees, that's great. You're larger than a smallish business, and then you qualify for the exemption. So you would file an update to let them know that you are now exempt.
Right. And as of right now, there isn't a separate application for an update to the original application. Unfortunately, you have to go through the whole thing. So just know that there's not separate applications for updates or filings. You just do the whole thing again.
And yeah, you have 30 days from the date of the change to get
Mhm.
your updated information.
Right. Or let's say you send in your information and you forgot, like you got a birthday wrong, or you forgot to add a beneficiary owner, like you, I don't know, in large corporations, you might have forgot. So whatever the case is, if it was incorrect information, you would still need to do a corrected report when you found out that you gave incorrect information or inaccurate information, like, you got the business address wrong or something, I don't know. But I'm sure mistakes happen, especially if you have several owners or something.
Right.
Or if an owner moves, it's a constant thing that you have to do. You have to keep updated.
Right. So there is some, I mean, you don't want to make mistakes when
Mhm.
you're submitting it for the first time. You want all the information to be correct, because, legally you're attesting to the fact that it is correct.
Mhm.
But there is a little bit of grace if you realize that you made a mistake unintentionally. You can submit a corrected report.
Mhm.
You have to do it within 30 days of realizing that you made a mistake. So it's always that 30-day mark. And then you submit an updated one.
Right.
So like
Right.
Karrie was saying, I mean, this is a very fluid process because they want to make sure that the information is correct for all time. And businesses were changing all the time, or us personally, we're changing all the time. So life updates and business updates, they want to know about.
Yeah.
And so it's not just a one-time, this is going to be an ongoing compliance that you have to keep track of. And so you just have to add it to your annual to-do, or, your monthly to-do really, because you only have those 30 days. Unless they choose at the end of this month and early June to do away with this law.
Mhm.
Which is still on the table, and it
Yeah.
doesn't look like that will happen, but it might. And if that happens, then we'll do another webinar.
Yeah, they might even change the parameters on who has to file.
Right.
But I will say, if, when you initially do your BOI reporting and you have to file some sort of ID with it, it has to be, of course, one that is current, like you can't do an expired driver's license. You don't, so let's say your driver's license expires, but none of your other information has changed. You do not have to do an updated BOI report. It's only if information has changed. It's not, you don't have to if your passport or your driver's license or something like that has expired.
Right. All right, let's go back really quickly. We just went through a ton of information. We're going to talk about how you file the BOI report, but let's go back really quick and just talk about who has access to your information for the BOI report. I know Karrie had already mentioned it, but we just shared so much that you are now legally required to submit about yourself, about your business, and personally. And I know that that's overwhelming for us all because it seems like, everyone's going to have access to our information. But like Karrie said, I just want to reiterate that there is no public access to the BOI reports. So not anyone can pull information. All of this that you give about your business, about you personally, it's not public access. People cannot just pull this about your business because they want to know. The only people that have access to it are federal, state, local, and tribal government agencies or officials. Law enforcement officials, so they're using it in case there's something that comes up with law enforcement or security, because that was the whole point of passing this, was for national security. Foreign law enforcement officials can request it, but they go through our US law enforcement and our government agencies when they request access to it. Financial institutions, but like Karrie was saying, only with the company's consent, and only so that the financial institution can comply with the customer due diligence requirements that they have. Regulators of financial institutions, and then the Department of the Treasury, which is the IRS. And FinCEN is one of the bureaus in the Department of the Treasury. So they are obviously going to have access to the BOI report. You are filing it through them.
Right.
Yeah, you're filing it through their bureau.
Yeah.
So it's overwhelming. We understand to give all of this information, and it is a lot of information to put out there. But it's just a little bit of peace of mind that not everyone has access to this. Not
Mhm.
everyone can pull your know every time you move, every time you have an update
Right.
to your personal life or your business's future. But it is the government that gets those. So
Yeah. And so to report your BOI, your report is going to be filed with FinCEN. And there's no charge for it. There's no filing fee. You just go on FinCEN's website. There are third-party service providers that do charge out there. There's going to be companies out there that's, that you can pay to do it. There's some benefits to that and some drawbacks. I mean, obviously the drawback is you're going to have to pay for it. But I mean, a benefit, if you don't think that you have the capacity to keep up with the filing requirements, you might want to hire a third party just to handle it for you if you don't want to mess with it. And they will keep track, but still at the same time, you're going to have to be the one to tell the third party anytime you need a update, anytime one of your business people have changed or an address has changed, you're still going to have to tell them for them to report it. But again, if you don't want to have to deal with it, there are companies out there that you can pay to do that.
right. And important to note, because this is new and is overwhelming, and there are third parties that do it. If you get mail, which we all get a lot of mail saying you have to file this right now, here's this fee. There is no fee to file this online. It's not a state filing. This is a federal filing through FinCEN, which is through the Department of the Treasury, the Financial Crimes Enforcement Network. You submit it electronically. And like I said, there is no fee to do it. So the letters that you'll get from people are just spam.
Yeah.
People may send you something saying that you owe for it, but that's just spam unless it's coming from that actual government agency. And we'll probably learn more about what it looks like for them to contact people if they have not been compliant after the 1st of next year, because then they'll start sending out non-compliance. I would think that that's probably going to be snail mail, because that's generally how the Department of the Treasury sends communication, is via paper mail. But yeah, just rest assured, if you have people contacting you saying that you owe them money or anything related to this, there is actually no fee to do it. So that's important to make a distinction. All right. There is a lot of information that we could go through specifically on like what it looks like to file this report through FinCEN. If we were to get on FinCEN's website and go through and walk you through like what does it look like to use their e-filing system, there are tools that you can use. And so you'll want to select the best one, the best filing method that works for you, because there are a couple of different types of them. And so let us know. There's a lot of information to go through today. I don't know if you can tell, but Karrie and I are trying not to trip over our words because there's a lot to.
There's so much. You're like, oh yeah, there's so many little nuances. There's so much to know. But basically, if you are a business that filed for an LLC, an S Corp, a C Corp, if you filed something with the state, then you have to file.
Right. Right. And if you want to know more, if you want us to do a webinar or a demo, which is a walk through what it looks like to select the method that works best for different organizations for e-file reporting, let us know. Either shoot us a question or a chat or contact us at Evermore. The email is either info@evermorefs.com, or we call it BBOB because it's business bookkeeping on a budget, BBOB. support@bbob.com. And that's specifically for the Facebook groups. And then we would know, that you're coming in from that and have a question. And then we can definitely look at sharing screen and walking through almost like a demo of their site. Because that's a lot to do. And one, we know that if you're taking notes, that's a lot of information. And if you have questions on anything that we've mentioned and you want more information on it, definitely reach out, because there's more, we've hit the highlights of this. You know, we're hitting the highlights of
Mhm.
as many parts of it as we can to give you more information. But there's definitely more nuanced information and more additional information on each part of what we've talked about. And I think the last thing that we want to cover is we want to talk about penalties. So you and other business owners that you know, make sure that we don't incur any of the penalties.
Yeah, and FinCEN is the government agency that's going to do the enforcement. So they are going to be the ones that fine people, and you can get a criminal fine up to $10,000 and up to 2 years in jail if you unlawfully or willfully put in false information. The penalties can apply to individuals as well as the company. So as the beneficial owner, you can be responsible for and serve jail time, as well as the company if you do willfully do false information or you just refuse to do it at all. But you can be fined up to $10,000 for that. So it's no joke. I don't know. I'm sure there's going to be grace at the start for as people get, learn everything that they need to do about it. And like I said, it's something that's ongoing. So it would be a good idea if you had a policy in place for your company that you just keep a policy anytime blah, blah, blah happens, we change address, ownerships change, like you write a policy that everybody in your company is aware of, or at least the people that it pertains to. You have a policy in place that makes sure that this reporting gets done, because the company is responsible. If you are the business owner, you are responsible, as well as any of your beneficial owners.
Right. So we are in May, it's almost June. You still have some time to get this information. These are the next steps that you should take in order to make sure that you are ready to file this information on time and not incur any of those penalties. So first, ask yourself, is your entity a reporting company? And are you subject to the BOI report? And if the answer is yes, then go ahead and identify and inform the beneficial owners so that you can give them a list of the information that you're going to need from them. Gather the information that needs to be reported. There are lists out there. If you reach out to us, we can provide more information on that. Gather the information that you're going to need for each of the beneficial owners and for the company, because like the legal names have to be the legal names as reported on your EIN paperwork and the state. And then develop a procedure, like Karrie was saying, for keeping track of the reported information this year and moving forward, so that every year, every month, you're prepared and you don't have to worry about making sure that you're compliant.
Yeah.
I think that's it. I think that's all we have for today. We've gone through a lot of information, like I said, so we want to hear from you if you have any questions about specific things that we've discussed. If you want to see a demo on what it looks like to actually get on FinCEN's website and select which e-filing option is right for you, definitely reach out. And we are,
if you have specific questions, like I said, we have so many notes on, we've done different webinars, got a lot of information. If you can also go to the FinCEN's website, they have so much information on there, Q&As on there. But if you have specific questions for us, don't hesitate to reach out.
Right. Thanks for joining us today. We appreciate it. And we will talk to you soon.
Thanks. See ya.